They feared what the armor made him. But what terrified them more was the growing realization that the armor hadn't changed Aaron Holt. It had merely revealed him. At first, Aaron Holt didn't set out to start a war. He wasn't a strategist or a revolutionary. He was just a man in armor that refused to be beaten, and the galaxy wouldn't stop poking him. But war has a way of finding its champions, and Holt was becoming something more than that. He wasn't just surviving anymore. He was reshaping the battlefield with every step he took. It began with a retaliatory strike. After the Synthrees' failed assassination attempts, Holt hunted them back to one of their forward strongholds, a weapons hub orbiting the Dwarf Star Island 3. He didn't wait for approval. He didn't assemble a fleet. He launched himself from a stolen freighter and punched through the station's outer hull like a meteor wrapped in lightning. The battle lasted 19 minutes. The station's defenders used plasma storms, nanite swarms, and adaptive AI turrets. Holt used rage and armor. None of them walked away. After that, the galaxy stopped calling him a curiosity. He was now a combat variable, one that couldn't be predicted, countered, or negotiated with. And in his wake, others began to rise. Human colonies, previously passive, beaten into economic servitude, began rebelling. It wasn't organized at first. Lone strikes on tax outposts, pirates siding with miners, smugglers offering safe passage to human refugees. But Holt's name was on their lips. Videos of his battles were passed around like sacred texts. A phrase took hold across human space, scrawled on walls and cargo crates. He bled first. We bleed next. The turning point came on Vork Prime, a planet ruled by a Synthri-appointed governor known for executing humans for speaking above their caste. Holt didn't attack with ships or artillery. He walked across 100 kilometers of desert. Alone, the Synthari thought it was a provocation, until the armor began to burn the sand into glass with each step. When he reached the capital, he ripped the governor's fortress apart with his bare hands, pulled him from his throne, and broadcast a single message. This is what happens when you forget who we are. Within days, 6 other governors were assassinated, not by Holt, but by their own subjugated populations. The galaxy's control grid was fraying at the seams, and humanity, once seen as a barely tolerated nuisance, was becoming something much more dangerous, a movement. The Triumvirate's leaders issued joint war decrees. Holt responded by breaking a blockade over the human colony of Scifi-HFY, alone. The battle should have lasted days. It lasted 2 hours. 3 warships were disabled without direct combat. Interference fields generated by the armor's evolving core bent physics enough to short out engines and scramble navigation. It was no longer just armor. It was becoming a system, a force. And as his legend grew, so did the mystery. The armor changed. New functions emerged seemingly at random. A shield that bent time for half a second, a pulse that disarmed energy weapons, a voice that whispered strategies in ancient Varkarii dialects. Holt didn't understand it, but he trusted it. It had chosen him, and now it was guiding him. Somewhere, he didn't ask for followers, but they came. Humans, yes, but also defectors from other species. Crawlseers. Synthari scientists disillusioned with their own tyranny. AI constructs searching for purpose. Holt's warpath wasn't just destruction, it was awakening. The galaxy had spent millennia defining power by hierarchy, lineage, intellect. Aaron Holt didn't fit any of those molds, that he broke them. Galaxies don't change overnight. Not by treaties, not by revolutions, not even by war. They change through myths, through moments so seismic, so unbelievable, that they fracture the collective reality of civilization and rebuild it around something new. Aaron Holt became one of those moments. By the time the Triumvirate accepted that he couldn't be killed, it was already too late. Entire sectors had fallen into open rebellion. Minor species that had spent generations in indentured roles now spoke of the human paradox as prophecy. Military analysts stopped calling him a threat. They started calling him a constant. His presence had to be factored into any galactic decision, any deployment, any treaty. And yet, as unstoppable as he'd become, Holt never claimed a title. He didn't see himself on thrones or carve out territories. He rejected cults, crushed factions that tried to deify him, and silenced any who twisted his cause into vengeance. He wasn't leading an empire. He was dragging the galaxy into a future it had tried to deny. But the armor had its own plan. Over time, it changed further. Where once it had been reactive, it became proactive. Holt found himself moving with purpose he couldn't always explain. Sometimes he'd reach a world just hours before a genocide order was issued. Other times, he'd enter ruins no longer visible on star maps, only to find relics that activated when he arrived. The armor was guiding him, teaching him, revealing more than anyone ever guessed. It was not merely a Varkarii relic. It was a keystone, one of several scattered across the stars, left behind not to preserve the past, but to choose the inheritors of the future. A test of character, not bloodline. A crucible designed to identify beings capable of protecting not just civilizations, but sentience itself. And in Holt, it had found more than a candidate. It had found a willing soul. No one knows exactly when Holt disappeared. Some say he vanished mid-battle, wrapped in a blinding light as the armor dissolved into energy. Others claim he walked into the core of a black hole, pursuing a signal only he could hear. And some believe he's still out there, drifting between dimensions, waiting for the galaxy to need him again. What is known is this: the balance of power never returned to what it was. The triumvirate fell. A new coalition formed, led not by species or systems, but by ideals. Human colonies rose, not as conquerors, but as equals. And the myth of Aaron Holt endured, not as a warrior, but as a symbol, not because he wore the armor, but because when no one else could, when everyone else failed, he dared to touch it, and everything changed. The galaxy never expected a human to rewrite its destiny. It dismissed Earth's children as emotional, primitive, chaotic. But Aaron Holt proved what humanity truly is: a spark that refuses to go out, even in the vacuum of apathy and oppression. His story isn't just one of armor and war. It's a reminder that strength doesn't come from perfection. It comes from now the question isn't what did he become? The question is, what will you become when the armor calls? Will you break, or will you rise? If you love this HFY tale, share it. Spread it. Fuel the fire. Tell your fellow readers. Humanity doesn't just survive. We change the rules. Drop your thoughts below. Would you touch the armor? What do you think happens next? Subscribe for more legendary HFY stories. This is just the beginning. But when the caravan was ambushed and most of the security detail killed, Holt was the last one standing. Bleeding, furious, and separated from the rest, he stumbled through a breach in the vault wall, one blasted open by careless scavengers hours earlier. He should have turned back. Instead, he descended. The chamber was unnaturally silent, pulsing with a low hum he could feel more than hear. There it stood, the armor, resting like a god on its throne. Holt didn't know what it was. He didn't care. His shoulder was dislocated. His left hand burned from plasma fire. Rage churned in his chest. Not just from the fight, but from years of being told humans were beneath the notice of the civilized galaxy. He reached out, half in defiance, half in desperation. And the moment his fingers touched the cold metal, everything changed. The vault ignited with blinding light. The walls shook. Fail-safes from forgotten ages activated and failed instantly. Across the planet, instruments went dead. Orbital stations received a single pulse of ancient code, unreadable by any known protocol. The armor responded not with hesitation, but hunger. Panels unfolded. Tendrils of liquid metal surged toward him. For a heartbeat, he thought he was dying. Then it fused with him, threading through his nerves, syncing with his heartbeat, whispering truths in no language he'd ever heard but somehow understood. He didn't wear the armor. The armor chose him. And when Aaron Holt took his first step, encased in the last gift of a dead super-civilization, he wasn't man anymore. He was a storm the galaxy never saw coming. The moment Aaron Holt bonded with the armor, the galaxy changed, not metaphorically, but in real, measurable ways. Satellites orbiting arcs. 7 exploded in bursts of static. Deep space sensors across 5 systems recorded gravitational anomalies, as if something immense had briefly bent space itself and then vanished. Quantum communication. Links jittered for 7 seconds. Ships in near orbit lost power for exactly 4.16 seconds, long enough for one to crash into its sister vessel, killing 32 crew members. No one understood what had happened, only that something impossible had awakened. Inside the vault, Holt was drowning in sensation. The armor wasn't just wrapping around him. It was speaking to him in pulses of thought, images, and emotion. He saw glimpses of Varkarii wars, of beings he couldn't name fighting titanic battles in nebula-lit skies. He saw memory, not his own, of the last Varkarii warrior, standing alone against a galactic threat so immense it was simply called the end. The armor had been their final defense. A legacy not of strength, but of will. It was not designed to be worn by the most evolved. It was built for the one who would refuse to break. Holt's mind strained to keep up. The suit augmented his muscles, his senses, his reflexes, but more than that, it amplified his intent, his rage, his determination, his deep, defiant refusal to die. The armor didn't require purity or peace. It required resolve. Humanity, dismissed for its unpredictability, turned out to be the perfect match. When he emerged from the vault, the ground split beneath his armored boots. His very presence disrupted local magnetic fields. The remaining scavengers who had raided the site fired on him instinctively. Projectile rounds, laser bursts, concussion mines. It didn't matter. The armor absorbed it all, reconfiguring itself with every impact, learning, adapting. Holt raised his hand, and a kinetic pulse slammed outward, vaporizing the nearest attackers and sending the rest into a panicked retreat. Drones orbiting nearby captured everything in broadcast footage before they were destroyed by the shockwave. The galaxy watched in horror and awe as the unknown figure stepped into the light, armored in black and silver plates that shimmered like fluid metal, bearing the unmistakable glow of Varkarii design. The news spread like wildfire across the triumvirate worlds. High councils convened emergency sessions. The Centauri Syndicate labeled the event a Tier 0 existential threat. The Athelians, who hadn't declared war in 3 centuries, began mobilizing ships. The Crawl, pure psionics, meditated on the event and collectively wept, claiming they had heard the armor speak, and it told them, the time has come. But Aaron Holt didn't care about any of that. He looked at his hands, now shaped in alien alloy. He clenched a fist and felt the power ripple through reality. He didn't know what he was becoming, but he knew one thing with certainty. This armor wasn't a weapon of the past. It was a challenge to the future, and he was its answer. The activation of Varkarii Armor didn't just rattle sensors and shock scientists. It detonated centuries of carefully maintained power structures. In a galaxy ruled by ancient empires, where strength had long been defined by genetic purity, psychic supremacy, or technological singularity, Aaron Holt's transformation was nothing short of heresy. The first official response came from the triumvirate worlds, the ruling alliance of the Centauri, Athelians, and Crawl. For over 500 years, they had dictated what species could colonize where, which technologies were legal, and who was mature enough to govern themselves. Earth had only recently clawed its way to minor recognition, granted a probationary observer seat, still mocked as a feral world. That mockery died the moment the footage spread. Their ambassadors fell silent. Their fleets quietly repositioned. Then came the fear. The Centauri, masters of mimicry and machine integration, declared Holt's existence a threat to galactic cohesion. Their agents offered Holt asylum one day and sent kill teams the next. None returned. One broadcast their last moments. Holt's armor morphed mid-battle, forming bladed tendrils that danced like serpents through steel. He didn't just win. He learned as he fought, adapting to their tactics in seconds. Their finest warriors fled. The Athelians, beings of gas and thought, took a different approach. They initiated a universal recall of all exploratory teams near Varkarii ruins. Their priest-scientists demanded to speak with Holt, believing him to be the final anchor in a cosmic prophecy, one that foretold the return of the World Shakers. Holt declined the invitation by blowing up their emissary ship after it attempted to extract him without consent. The Crawl, for once, did not threaten or command. Instead, they mourned. In a galaxy where most sought to control Holt, the Crawl tried to understand him. They sent no weapons, only words. You are the noise that wakes the sleepers. Holt didn't respond. He didn't have time. Every action, he took spark tremors in the galactic order. When he dismantled the Centauri weapons factory, for bordering systems erupted in rebellion, humans, hybrids, and lesser species emboldened by the idea that maybe, just maybe, the balance could shift. And it did. Smaller civilizations that had suffered in silence now looked to Holt as a symbol. Pirate lords began to call him the Ascendant. Oppressed colonies painted crude murals of the armored figure with glowing eyes. Even rogue AI collectives sent coded offerings, data schematics, encrypted odes of loyalty. To them, Holt wasn't just a man. He was proof that the chains could be broken, but not everyone praised him. Some saw him as a contagion, proof that humanity was too dangerous to be allowed into the galactic fold. Secret councils began drafting plans for sterilization, containment, extinction-level protocols. No alien could wear it, not the six-armed crawl, not the gaseous Athelians, not even the bioadaptive Centauri, who could bond with any living alloy. They all failed. The armor rejected them all. For centuries, the Varkarii battle armor sat dormant in the ruins of a lost civilization, untouched, impenetrable, unyielding. Teams from across the galaxy had tried everything. Psychic links, molecular imprinting, even forbidden rituals whispered in the depths of deep space cults. The armor didn't budge. It remained cold, silent, dead. It was considered a cosmic relic, something left behind by a race. So advanced their technology might as well have been magic. The galaxy gave up trying to understand it. That is, until he touched it. Just another Earthborn mercenary. Just another primitive from a backwater planet. Nobody respected. His name was Aaron Holt, a human soldier with a short temper and nothing to lose. He didn't understand ancient glyphs. He didn't possess psionic abilities. He wasn't genetically enhanced. All he had was curiosity and a scarred hand from a plasma burn. When he reached out, he wasn't trying to unlock it. He was just angry. Angry that every species in the galaxy looked down on humanity. Angry that his comrades were slaughtered while the advanced civilizations watched. Angry that he felt powerless. Then the armor woke up. The pulse could be felt for light years. Sensors fried. Wormholes convulsed. Somewhere in the Andromeda expanse, a slumbering AI screamed. The armor bloomed around him like it had been waiting. And suddenly, the entire galactic balance of power tilted. The armor didn't just accept him. It sang with him, adapted to him, evolved with him. In seconds, Aaron Holt was no longer just a soldier. He was a living weapon. Stronger, faster, sharper than any known being. And with his first step, the ground cracked. With his first gaze, warships retreated. With his first punch, the rules of the galaxy broke. The aliens had it wrong all along. It wasn't that no species was compatible with the armor. It's that only one species ever was. Want to see how humanity redefines war, diplomacy, and destiny in a galaxy ruled by the arrogant? Dive into the full story of Aaron Holt, where raw emotion beats genetic perfection and human defiance reshapes the stars. Read on. Witness why the galaxy will never underestimate Earth again. Humanity just found its armor. In a universe where advanced civilizations compete for dominance, a mysterious piece of armor from an extinct race becomes a center of obsession. Despite countless attempts by the galaxy's most advanced species, the armor remains dormant until a human, Aaron Holt, accidentally activates it. This story is a high-octane journey through the HFY genre, showcasing the raw, untamed spirit of humanity when confronted with the impossible. It's about more than war. It's about what makes humans different and why that difference terrifies the stars. Long before the current galactic powers carved out their territories, before warp drives and universal translation matrices, there existed a race known as the Varkarii. They were neither the strongest nor the most numerous, but their technological advancement bordered on the divine. They were master engineers of living metal, organic alloys that responded to thought, emotion, even fragments of memory. The most enigmatic of the creations was a suit of armor that legend claimed could rewrite physics around its wearer, adapting to any threat, defying entropy itself. This wasn't just a tool. It was a living artifact of war and willpower, known in fragmented records as the Sentinel Husk. When the Varkarii vanished, some say by choice, others claim by self-destruction, their relics scattered across the stars. Most were destroyed, degraded, or absorbed into black market trade of ancient tech. But one remained untouched. Buried deep within a dead planet orbiting a fading sun, the armor slept inside a subterranean vault laced with traps, time dilation fields, and decaying AI guardians. Eventually, exploratory teams found the vault. A cooperative effort of over 30 species unearthed the chamber and discovered the artifact. Tall, humanoid, motionless. It looked like ceremonial armor, but scans couldn't penetrate its surface. Not even neutron imaging or dark matter resonance could reveal what lay inside. The galaxy's brightest minds swarmed the site. The gaseous Athelians tried to merge their vaporous forms into its joints, only to be rejected with a flash of energy. The shape-shifting Synthari attempted genetic mimicry, forming new limbs to fit the suit's contours, only to be violently expelled. The warlike Varnak sent their best gladiator to forcibly wear it. His limbs snapped upon contact. Even the Crawl, beings of pure psionic energy, attempted mental fusion. It triggered seizures in every Crawl on the planet. For decades, the armor became a source of obsession, cultish devotion, and political manipulation. Some saw it as the last weapon of the Varkarii, a tool meant to crown a new galactic emperor. Others claimed it was cursed, that it had been designed not to be worn by any of the known species. A few went even further, insisting it wasn't a weapon at all, but a test. Scientists analyzed the suit endlessly. They discovered the material it was made from didn't match anything on the periodic table. It reacted to thought impulses, but only registered erratic pulses when non-humans touched it. Some readings suggested the armor remembered each attempt, grew colder, more inert, as if it were waiting, as if each failed contact confirmed what it already knew. They were not worthy. Religious factions among the stars began referring to it as the unclaimed throne. Mythology spun its tale in endless variations. Some said it could destroy worlds of thought. Others claimed it granted immortality. A few even believed it was conscious and grieving, mourning the loss of its true wearer. And so the armor waited, buried beneath alien soil, surrounded by failure and fear. Until the day a human, uninvited, untrained, and wholly unaware of the legends, reached out and touched it. Aaron Holt never meant to become a legend. He was a man of impulse and instinct, traits often mocked in galactic councils where logic and genetic optimization ruled. Born on a fractured Earth still recovering from its own near extinction, Holt grew up in a scrapyard of crumbling cities and orbital junk fields. His childhood was war zones and water rations, not simulations and cybernetic tutors. When he was 16, he forged his birth record and joined an off-world mercenary outfit. By 28, he had fought in 13 conflicts, lost an eye, and gained a reputation. Reckless, stubborn, human to the core. To most of the galaxy, humans were still new, too emotional, too chaotic, too crude. They didn't possess psychic abilities. Their tech was outdated. Their biology was unimpressive. But what they did have, what Holt had in abundance, was that dangerous human tendency to push back. Where others analyzed, he acted. Where others debated, he bled. He wasn't supposed to be on Arx 7, the planet where the armor was buried. His unit had been hired by a low-tier alien cartel to escort a research team near the old Varkarii site, mostly as cannon fodder in case any scavenger gangs got bold. Holt didn't care about relics. His only interest was in the paycheck and the fight